Right now, we are watching the fallout and future of a decision affecting women's health care across the country and here at home. It all has to do with a medication called mifepristone, a drug approved more than 20 years ago by the FDA to help terminate an early pregnancy and manage miscarriages. A medication many women have relied on for decades, now in limbo thanks to competing rulings in court. Earlier this month, a federal judge in Texas ruled to suspend the FDA's long-standing approval, pointing to safety concerns from pro-life groups, despite a strong safety record pointing to the contrary. Less than an hour later, another federal judge, this one in Washington, ordered the federal government to keep the drug available in several states. The U.S. Department of Justice quickly appealed the first ruling, and a stay is in place for now with new limitations we'll get to in a minute. The U.S. Health and Human Services, I almost said it. Today on Heart of the Matter.
America is facing a healthcare crisis.
Abortion rights are center stage as access to a critical drug used by millions hangs in the balance.
The safest, most effective, most recommended method might be taken away.
With the future of reproductive health care in legal limbo, we explore what this means for women here at home. One of Kansas City's biggest events is almost here.
People don't really understand the scope and the scale of it.
Before hundreds of thousands of people come to town, we'll get you ready for Draft Week 2023. And after months of detours, a major project's picking up speed in Missouri.
This might be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
So what's driving lawmakers to change lanes? Our roundtable's watching an issue that stretches across the state.
From KMBC 9, Kansas City, this is Heart of the Matter.
Thanks for joining us today. I'm Cody Holyoke. Right now, we are watching the fallout and future of a decision affecting women's health care across the country and here at home. It all has to do with a medication called mifepristone, a drug approved more than 20 years ago by the FDA to help terminate an early pregnancy and manage miscarriages. A medication many women have relied on for decades, now in limbo thanks to competing rulings in court. Earlier this month, a federal judge in Texas ruled to suspend the FDA's long-standing approval, pointing to safety concerns from pro-life groups, despite a strong safety record pointing to the contrary. Less than an hour later, another federal judge, this one in Washington, ordered the federal government to keep the drug available in several states. The U.S. Department of Justice quickly appealed the first ruling, and a stay is in place for now with some new limitations we'll get to in a minute. The U.S. Health and Human Services Secretary isn't mincing words.
That's not America. America goes by the evidence. America does what's fair. America does what is transparent, and we can show that what we do is for the right reasons. That's not America.
So what is America? Right now, it's a country where medication abortions account for more than half of all abortions. It's also a place where more and more states are outlawing abortions, including Missouri. And now, even in states like Kansas, where voters protected abortion rights and reproductive health care, access to this drug, mifepristone's already drying up. In fact, major pharmacies like Walgreens aren't dispensing it right now. That company is one of many facing political and legal pressure from Republicans, including the attorneys general of Kansas and Missouri. Legal experts watching the issue tell me that's one of the main concerns here. If, after 23 years, mifepristone does end up unapproved, the FDA as a federal agency could choose not to go after doctors who prescribe it, but states still have that option.
so the uncertainty of the ruling, the uncertainty about whether it's going to be enforced in any given state, even if it's not enforced at the federal level, is what's going to make it difficult for providers, especially in states with abortion bans that have criminal penalties and the potential for loss of licensure.
Legal experts fully expect this issue to go to the Supreme Court, setting up what could be the most significant legal decision since the overturning of Roe v. Wade last year. So how is this legal battle informing the decisions of women in our area? Let's get to the heart of the matter with Emily Wales, President and CEO of Planned Parenthood Great Plains. Emily, thank you for coming in. We know access to mifepristone is increasingly difficult. Care is limited in Missouri, but you still provide it in your clinics in Kansas, correct?
We do. We do still provide medication abortion and in-clinic abortion at our Kansas facilities.
All right. Let's talk about this most recent appeals court decision because, I mean, it seems like there's a new decision every day now, but keeping mifepristone available with more strict conditions, scaling back FDA guidelines, expanding access. We know for now it can only be dispensed now up to 7 weeks of a pregnancy instead of 10, cannot be delivered by mail. How does this affect you, your operations, and your patients?
The biggest impact we have right now really is patient-facing. We're doing so much conversation with patients trying to explain that they still can get medication abortion. The protocol may be different. We're still in the process of reviewing what the decision means, knowing that, of course, we could have intervention from the U.S. Supreme Court. Things could still change. As providers, we're used to pivoting and adapting and making abortion accessible. That's what we've done for many years at Planned Parenthood. But for patients who are often traveling from Texas or Oklahoma, Louisiana, it is overwhelming to think they might arrive and not still have access to medication abortion. So we're trying to do a lot of reassurance and tell folks, listen, we're on top of the legal piece. You get yourself here and we'll help you get care.
These new changes, especially when it comes to mailing medication, does that affect telehealth medication abortions with you?
It does not. The way that we offer telehealth medication abortion services is that we still have patients come into one of our centers. You go through the ultrasound process, the consent process, education, but it has allowed us to establish care when we don't have physicians on site. One of the biggest hurdles to care for the region we serve is just not enough providers. So if we have a physician who's located in the Kansas City area but can't make it to Wichita, care can continue. A patient can still come in and have a telehealth visit with a provider but still get access to care. So we're not currently mailing medication abortion to patients, so it won't halt our services. But it does throw a great deal of confusion for patients who just don't understand what's going to happen when they come through the doors.
Let's talk about mifepristone for a little bit because there are some misconceptions I think that are really circulating right now. How commonly used is this medication, and have you ever had a patient have a serious adverse effect?
It is the most common form of medication abortion used in the United States. It's part of a 2-drug protocol. First, a patient will come in and get mifepristone in one of our clinics, and then between 24 and 48 hours later, a patient will get misoprostol, which will complete the medication abortion process. It's widely used. It's been used for more than 20 years in the United States, very safely, and it does have, as is argued in this case, an extremely safe record. It is more reviewed and regulated by the FDA than most medications, and primarily that's true of medications that have such a safe record. It is more safe than many over-the-counter drugs like Tylenol, and yet we have a great deal more regulation because it's abortion related.
And I know many abortion providers, not knowing what the future holds for mifepristone, are even preparing to offer that misoprostol only medication abortions in states where that's allowed. Is that something that you're considering as well?
That's exactly right. We are prepared and have all of our materials for patient education, for consent, medications on site if we need to pivot to a misoprostol only protocol immediately. For patients, it means that the process looks a little different, but the outcome, a safe and legal medication abortion, is the same.
Bottom line, what are you telling your patients right now?
We're trying to take away as much stress and fear and anxiety as we can for the patients. Many of the people we serve are traveling overnight in their cars. They're concerned about their kids and their jobs back home. They're worried that they're doing something illegal because even though care remains legal in Kansas, they're very concerned about what happens when they return home. So on this new legal issue, we're doing all we can to reassure them, let us handle the legal questions and know that we're here to provide safe, legal care, and we're with you every step of the way.
All right, Emily Wales with Planned Parenthood, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.